Hello, we're here at Resourcing Tomorrow 2025. Joining me in the Proactive studio is Chris Holden. He's Vice President of Corporate Development at Elura Resources. Chris, very good to meet you. So what brings you to Resourcing Tomorrow?
We're here because essentially we have a silver tin polymetallic deposit in Bolivia. And so one of the things that attracts us to coming to places like London is there's a very good understanding of the tin market here in London. We're also in the ITA Tin Conference on Friday. And so there's also a good understanding of investing in places like Bolivia and South America. So it's a combination of the two. There's a very good understanding of one of our main metals, and then also where we will be operating when we build the mine.
And the sorts of interest you've had from delegates in the company?
Well, I mean, we do have almost 300 million ounces of silver in place. So when silver is approaching $60, there's a lot of interest in our project. And even on the tin side, tin is like $39,000 a ton. So we have two very good commodity price environments for our main project commodities. I mean, we also have zinc, which is doing well, but certainly not to the level of silver and tin.
Tell us about the Isca Isca project and the potential you're seeing there, Chris.
So Isca Isca, it is a greenfield development. We've got the property in 2020. We put in almost 140,000 meters to date. So where we see this going and what the opportunity is, we'll be doing a resource update beginning of Q1 next year. Our PEA will come out in Q2. What's interesting for us is there's not a lot of large-scale miners in Bolivia, so people don't have an understanding of what the potential returns and the economics in this deposit will be, and that's why we're excited to show people our PEA in the second quarter. And it's going to be based off our very good drill results we had over the last 2 years on our from our initial resource. We do need to refresh our resource statement because it's kind of stale at this moment. So.
In fact, you're out with assays on 2 additional drill holes just 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Encouraged by those?
They were fantastic. I would highlight probably the best one would have been, you could toss a coin here between the 92 and 91. 91, I think, was a real, I run the modeling in the company, so I understand having even 37 gram silver at the 19 meter mark. It's only 19 meters down, so that's when we thought originally the overburden would be 50 to 75 meters on this. When you have it at 19, the payback on that becomes incredible because, instead of 12 to 14 months of pre-stripping, it's all of a sudden it's minimal and you're right into ore right off the get-go. And then, but the other one would also been, DSB 92, which showed some significant silver grade at depth, but also on that, it also was a step out. So when we're looking at that, we're focusing on that high grade area, and now all of a sudden that high grade area has grown and it's higher grade. So when we run that into an initial starter pit, and all of a sudden the starter pit is, rather than, having to pre-strip for 12 to 14 months, it's now nothing. I mean, the economics on that become fantastic. I don't know other anywhere to say that then it becomes really, and so that's got people interested in the story as well, as not only commodity prices, but they're seeing what we're doing on the drill results, and it's an exciting story.
How about Isca Isca's link as a very important part of the critical mineral supply chain?
So we basically have silver, lead, and zinc, and tin. We don't talk about it too much, but we're in Bolivia, and we also have indium associated with it. It's running between 500 to 700 parts per million, so that's a payable product. If you look at tin developments on a global basis, we're really the only large-scale tin development in the Americas. And proximity plays a role as well. So most of the Australian tin is going to go to China. Majority of the tin that's being developed in Africa is going to go to China. All the stuff that's being developed in Cornwall in in Spain and Morocco and that's all going to go to Europe. We're the only ones that are developing this large-scale project in the Americas, and so U.S. is short tin. They need about 40 to 50,000 tons per annum, and when there's a search for critical minerals, proximity plays a role. And I think that the new change in government in Bolivia and the fact that you've had people from the State Department go to the swearing-in ceremony, and you're having Marco Rubio talk about how Bolivia can be a new kind of, quote, shining light for South America, that's a significant change from what happened, over the last 20 years. And so if that relationship changes and gets better and better like we think it will, I think there's an opportunity for us to be a key critical mineral supplier to the U.S. market.
Well, Chris, thank you very much for coming down and telling us your story.
Nice meeting you,
Very
Steve.
good meeting you.
Thank you.
That's Chris Holden. He's Vice President of Corporate Development at Elora Resources.